Yeah, that style really needs a comeback in 2026, for sure.
Without you, I'm driving lost in a stare. Without you, I feel like I'm running scared. Since you're gone, I haven't bothered to comb my hair on Friday night. But Friday night's gonna be alright. It's gonna be right. It's gonna be alright now, baby. Friday night's gonna be alright. It's gonna be right. It's gonna be alright now, baby. So get ready for Friday night.
Hey, hello, welcome to my YouTube channel. I hope you're all doing really well out there, wherever you might be in this whole wide world. Yeah, it is Friday again, and we're off with a bang. Danny's back, and yeah, it just feels great, because it's been a while since I posted my last Friday night video here on my channel. And that is, of course, because 2 weeks ago we had a big event here in one of my local record stores, the Sound Machine. They had the Vintage Vinyl Weekend, and of course I did a video on that, but that was posted on the Saturday. And then last weekend we had the big thing, right? Record Store Day 2026, where I also posted a video on the Saturday. So yeah, now it feels good to be back here on a Friday, my favorite day of the week, and of course our gateway into the weekend. Today I am going to talk a bit about Italo Disco and how I came to stumble on that genre back in the 1980s. But before I do, I just want to extend a big thank you to all of my new subscribers. I say all because I never seen anything like it. When I posted my Record Store Day video last week, I was so overwhelmed by the number of people who watched that video, commented on it, and like I said, the number of new subscribers here on my channel. I'm just a small channel. When I started this one, it wasn't the intention to be a big, like YouTube or anything like that. No, just to reach out to like-minded people all around the world who share my passion for music, really. I have a pretty diverse taste when it comes to music, but I do think I present a lot of music records here on my channel that other channels aren't presenting. So I was a bit like, ooh, I don't know if there's anyone out there that shares my thoughts, but this just goes to show that I managed. I reached my goal, really, to reach out to people from all around the world, and made some great connections along the way as well. So yeah, as old viewers here know, and subscribers, my subscribers are always near and dear to me. You have a special place in my heart. So I am truly overwhelmed by the number of views that I got, of course, on the video, but also the number of new subscribers. So a big thank you. And I'm going to thank you again by doing a 500 subscriber special or something like that, because it's worth celebrating, I think. To some people it might be nothing at all, but to me this is huge. So yeah, I'm going to do that. But I am not going to decide the topic for that episode per se. No, I want you to be in the driver's seat on this one, because it's all thanks to you guys who are watching my videos, subscribing to my videos, that I keep on doing this. You give me the motivation, the energy to continue talking about the music that I love. So, yeah, I want you to decide. So please put down in the comments on this video what you would like to see me talk about on this 500 subscriber special video that I'm going to do in the very near future. And of course, there's going to be all sorts of things, but if there's a common denominator, I'm going to pick that. But if there's not, I'm just going to pick the one that I found the most interesting, the most funny topic, really. Yeah, so please do it. Put it down in the comments what you want me to do for my 500 subscribers special. Yeah, that's it. Italo Disco. That's what we're going to talk about today. A medley or a collage of sorts that I put together for you guys here with a handful of songs that were big in the 1980s under the Italo Disco banner, just so you can get a bit of a taste for it before I start talking more about it. And this is not going to be a deep dive into the Italo Disco genre itself. It's a fascinating story, but it's a rather long one. So I'm going to stick to my personal story, how I discovered Italo Disco and all of that. But I can say one thing. When the rest of the world abandoned disco, we here in Europe, we just continued, and especially in Italy, they just continued, they evolved the sound, it became more high energy, but there was still this core of disco at the center of it, really. And for a lot of people listening to Italo Disco, they might say, well, it's just really synth pop, isn't it? Well, it's not just synth pop. It's different production techniques, there is an unmistakable sound to it, the way they utilize the synthesizers and the drum machines, and just a different production technique altogether. There is something that is so different from the rest of the world, basically, when it comes to Italo Disco. And that was my deep analysis of the sound of Italo Disco. I'll promise I'll work on that one for my deep dive video, for sure. For me personally, then, it started probably in 1984, and my first memory of hearing anything in this genre of Italo Disco was Fun Fun. A girl duo from Italy, and they had a bunch of hit singles, but the first one I got familiar with was Color My Love. When it comes to Fun, I just have to mention something that was, I can't say really common practice, but it did happen in the Italo Disco industry, and that is what we saw on the TV performance or in the video or even on the record sleeves. Those weren't really the performers. They weren't the singers of Fun in this case. No, the real talents behind the voice and the production were stuck in the studio, and what they had on stage and in videos were models, dancers in some cases, or both, just to be the face of the group. And that's exactly what happened to Fun as well. But yeah, I'll save that for the deep dive. But Fun, like I said, heard them first in 1984 with Color My Love. Loved it. And at the time, I had no clue they were from Italy. I don't think so. And I certainly haven't heard of Italo Disco disco at this point in time. To me, it was just a new sound, really, a new great pop record that came out, and I loved it. I think it must have been in 1985, perhaps beginning of 1986, doesn't matter, when a friend of mine picked up the volume 2 of a series of DJ mixes called Mix Max or Max Mix. Even today, I can't get that right. Is it Mix Max or Max Mix? I think it's Max Mix. Yeah. Great DJ mixes that were released at the time. And the great thing with these DJ mixes is that you got a lot of songs on one record, all mixed together, but they were all listed on the back. So me and a friend, we always took notes on the different tracks, the ones that we really loved, and we tried to hunt them down in our record stores. Not to great success always, because they weren't really charting in Sweden at the time, and importing records was out of the question at the time. We were very short of cash and all of that. Then it leads to school discos at the time as well, that I have vivid memories of, dancing the night away, but most of the time standing with my friend beside the DJ booth a lot of the evening just to look at all the records that he was putting on. And this was one specific DJ that always played a lot of Italo Disco, a lot of tracks that we never heard before. And I remember at one time we were lingering after the disco ended, and we were speaking to the DJ, and we said something in the where did you get all these records, these great records? We never heard this before. And he said this to us: if you ever find a record that has the beatbox label or the stamp of beatbox on it, buy it. It's just great. You can't go wrong with it. Just do it. That was his advice to us, and we really took it to heart. We had perhaps a weekly allowance as kids or a monthly, and we saved up and we went to town to find records labeled with beatbox. Yeah, so I'm also going to save this because we could do a deep dive on beatbox as well, but just in short, beatbox was a Swedish record label, and it stemmed from a record shop really in Stockholm called Vinyl Mania, and the guys that ran Vinyl Mania started out this record label called Beatbox, and they licensed music from Italian record labels and sometimes from the big giant in Germany, Syx Records, that was responsible for a lot of output of Italo Disco at the time. And what they did was to put, if it was a 7-inch single, you got the original 7-inch single, but with the beatbox label on it. But when it came to the 12 inches, some of them had the original track listing with the extended version or an instrumental or whatever it might be. But it also contained, in some cases, a Swedish remix. So it made them really unique at the time, because nowhere else could you get the Swedish remix, usually longer, more elaborate remix made by Beatbox. And more specifically, a guy called Fredrik Rammel. So he was part of this Vinyl Mania crew, and he was the resident remixer, really. So I'm not really sure how he made these remixes, if he got the master tapes from Italy, or he just took whatever they had from the original mixes and spliced them together. I would love to know that, but like I said, that's a point for a deep dive. But yeah, so we went out on the hunt for all things beatbox. So we picked up Silver Pozzoli, for example. In later years, we came across some promos that was released from Beatbox, and yeah, the list goes on and on and on, and more promos. So in some cases they were white, and you could actually put DJ info over here as well. So on some of the records I have in my collection, you actually have some notes here from whoever had it before. Probably a DJ, right? So you can have the BPMs, the intro, the break, the fade, and what RPM, of course. So you had everything there, so you can just pick it up and you know exactly where to start it and what BPM and so forth it was. So great stuff. And in later years, in the beginning of 1990s or late 80s into the early 1990s, they were still releasing records on Beatbox. And this is a good example, When You're Latino. And during this era, I can't remember seeing any Swedish remixes at all. They just had abandoned that probably and just were licensing records that were hits in the Mediterranean and started spreading them in the cold north. And When You're Latino is a good example of that. But still on Beatbox. And they also licensed records from Netherlands. So we had Hit House with the Jack to the Sound of Underground, for example. And list goes on and on and on. But I think Beatbox as a label faded away in the early 90s. Yeah. But like I said, I like to know more about this, so I will probably do a deep dive on it. So I think the big boom really was in the mid-1980s. And that big boom for Italo Disco was in the shape of an Italian band called Scotch. And these two singles from Scotch was Delirium Mind and Disco Band. And at first listening, I think a lot of people played it off like a gimmicky record, you know, like just a novelty thing. You got that one with the guy coughing in it, and you got the other one with all the operatics, right? But behind that, all of that, it's a great pop production with great hooks. I love these two singles. And like I said, I do believe this must have been when Italo Disco really spread its wings outside of Italy and started to chart for real in other European countries. And it all culminated with their album Evolution, came out in 1985. What a great cover, right? But a great record, and this is my original copy from back in the day. You can see the Beatbox logo up there, and by the way, there's no difference between this one and any other pressing when it comes to the content of it. It's just the normal Evolution album. No Swedish remix here. Yeah, lovely album. So you do get those two singles, Delirium Mind and Disco Band on this one, but also another great single from them called Take Me Up. It's such a great album, and listening back to this one just recently, I think it still holds up really well. Really good crafted songs here with good hooks on them. Just good pop all around. Or Italo Disco. Another artist that we have to give some credit to when it comes to spreading the word or the tunes of Italo Disco must be Sabrina. So Sabrina got famous with the single Boys, or Boys. I think most people growing up during this era have heard this one at some point. It's not the greatest single from Sabrina by far. I still got it here in my collection. I bought it back in the day. Not necessarily because I loved the song, but hey, she got good looks, right? So that's probably why. But other singles from Sabrina that I think is worth mentioning is, for example, this one, My Chico. So this is going to be my first recommendation for you to take into the weekend to start listening to some more, I wouldn't say commercial Italo Disco, because I find it all very commercial, but it's a good start. It's a good poppy start to it all. So My Chico, a really good single from Sabrina. And like I said, we do need to give her some credit for spreading the word about Italo Disco. She was very instrumental in that. Another one that was also instrumental in spreading the word about Italo Disco at the time was this lady, Spagna. Ivana Spagna, as her real name is, and she had a big single out, Call Me, at the time. And I believe this one came out in 1987, yeah, it was. And I loved this one. And that leads me into 2026, yeah. These days, the present day. I'm just going to divert here for a bit. Because still today, the big label 6 Records that I mentioned a couple of times here, the big German label 6 Records, they license a lot of music as well from Italian record labels and put them out there to the world to behold. They are still going strong, and today they are reissuing a lot of Italo Disco as well. And that's something that I picked up on a couple of years ago, that I was like, oh, they're still releasing and re-releasing stuff from 6 Records. And that's where my Italo Disco rut ended, really. I think it was around 10 years ago when I started picking up Italo Disco again. I still had all my records, of course, in my record collection, but then I saw that they started re-releasing a lot of stuff. So even up to this day, I'm still collecting a lot of Italo Disco from back in the day. A lot of things that I couldn't afford back in the day because I was just a poor teenager strapped for cash. And some of the artists that I pick up today are things that I never heard of before. They escaped me back in the day. Because like I said, in Sweden especially, we were bombarded what was on the charts at the time. So it was the likes of Sabrina, Scotch, Mike Marine, Ken Laszlo, a handful of names really from the Italo Disco business that we could pick up. And we had no other means to get informed about other artists out there that came from Italy. So it's really still a gold mine, a treasure trove to behold these days. There's so much being reissued from this era. And that leads me into, that was a diversion, but that leads me into Ivana Spagna again. Because in the day when she appeared, she was a new voice, a new face to me, and great stuff with Call Me. But I discovered that she was so much more instrumental in the Italo Disco business than that I was aware of at the time. Turns out, Ivana Spagna was one of the voices behind Fun Fun that I mentioned here before. And also the voice behind a record and an artist that I discovered just a couple of years ago when I picked up a reissue of Biba's Top Model. This is a really energetic Italo Disco track. I love it, with a really powerful voice as well. And I have talked about this one here before, and I said at the time that I managed to pick up the name Barbara Taylor, the real name behind Biba. And this, just recently I stumbled across someone in a forum that wrote something around Biba, and someone was mentioning Barbara Taylor, and they said, well, that's not really a real person, Barbara Taylor. The real name behind the voice of Biba is probably Ivana Spagna. So Spagna is all over the place, so I would love to include some more tidbits about her in a future deep dive on Italo Disco. But yeah, we now have 99.9 certainty that it is Ivana Spagna that is the voice of Biba. One of the great Italo Disco records out there, top model. And I do have to point out something else, and that is a duo that actually was also responsible for carry on the legacy, really, of Italo Disco and spreading it across charts around the world, and that is Pet Shop Boys. Yeah, because they, especially in the early days of Pet Shop Boys, a lot of their sound was taken, or the inspiration was taken from these different Italo Disco records. That I'm certain of. I'm pretty sure, because just listening to them, I remember back in the day discovering them with both West End Girls and Opportunities and all of those early singles. They always had a track or two that reminded me of the Italo Disco vibe. So yeah, I will hold them responsible for spreading the word and the tunes of Italo Disco as well. There's a lot of influences in there in Pet Shop Boys music. Now, to round off things, I want to give you further recommendations if I manage to pique your interest when it comes to Italo Disco. Some tracks to take into the weekend to listen to and enjoy. And the first one is from Gazebo and his Masterpiece. Yeah, that's what it's called. Masterpiece. Yeah, great one. Laid back, very sophisticated tune, really, from Gazebo. Yeah, suits really well for a warm sunny day with perhaps a cocktail or some other cool beverage in your hand. Yeah, for sure. And if you have a flair for the instrumental kind of music with a tint of sci-fi in it, Koto is the way to go. This is the single Jabda, one of my favorite ones from Koto back in the day, so don't expect any singing here. A lot of sampled voices, but no singing, just brilliant instrumental tracks with great hooks, great synth lines across the whole record. Koto's Jabda. And then to an artist that I wasn't aware of back in the day. Back in the 1980s, flew under my radar completely. I discovered it in the last 10 years, and that is Valerie Dore. I'm not sure about the surname, how to pronounce it. Is it Dore or Dory? Doesn't matter. Great music. Really great music. And what I'm holding in my hand is a reissue from a couple of years ago from 6 Records. So it's, like you can see, the greatest hits and remixes from Valerie Dore. And we could see Valerie Dore as the last artist that I included in my small collage in the beginning of this video as well, doing The Night, a standout single. And I also have this one on an expanded kind of edition on CD. So we get the first album from Valerie Dore, the one and only, I believe. I might be wrong. I'm picking this from my old mind here, but I think she only released one album, and that's included on that CD. And it's got all the singles, of course, all the album tracks, and they're great. And it's a bit of a more of a moody affair when it comes to Valerie Dore. A bit toned down, but great hooks and all of that. And she sang a lot about, you know, that romantic notions about knights in shining armor and damsels in distress. A lot of lore from King Arthur and all of that. Very romantic, all of it. That was her thing, right? To sing about those things. Great stuff from Valerie Dore. And this continues still today. A lot of new bands getting influenced by the Italo Disco genre, and they're doing it in their own way, but still contain some of those roots that were Italo Disco. And a great example of that is Sally Shapiro. This is their album Sad Cities. It is a Swedish group from Gothenburg, and I love this album. This is a really good example of a new band taking on board the influences of Italo Disco and making their own sound from it as well. Very laid back, very atmospheric. I love this album, and it's released on Italians Do It Better, a label, in my opinion, that is in the forefront when it comes to spreading the word about Italo Disco these days. Have a lot of bands on their label releasing great music. But the last recommendation for this video when it comes to new music influenced by Italo Disco is this one, Sally Shapiro's Sad Cities. Go and have a listen. Yeah, but that's it. That was my short introduction, really, to Italo Disco, or more my personal reflections of how it all started with me when it comes to this great genre of music. Do you have any connections at all with Italo Disco? Do you want to correct me on anything? Because I'm sure I got something wrong here. And if you're a Italo Disco expert out there, or as passionate about Italo Disco as I am, please make sure to leave a comment down below, because I would love to hear from you what you think about this. Or it might be your first time getting exposed to this great kind of genre of pop that I was talking about. I want to hear from you as well. Please, down in the comments. Before I leave, I also want to say a big thank you once again to all of my subscribers, all both new and old. You are always near and dear to me. You know that, yeah. But thank you for sticking with me for this video. I will be back next Friday, and what will I talk about then? Well, you just have to tune in. Yeah, that's it. Until then, you all take care of yourself, you stay cool, you keep playing that music, and of course, I'm going to bid you a very heartfelt Swedish adieu to you all.
The movie rolls on, there ain't no more love scenes, the romance is gone. It's a one-man show, it's moving real slow, but it's picking up speed as I'm turning the key. I'm coming up, coming up, coming up, coming up, coming up. Hey, the Friday night